what's up, everybody? It's another episode of Simsation Nation, back for another sensational subject. This particular sensational subject is something that I hold near and dear to my heart, and it is called education. There's also another question that I want to address on this podcast, and it is, where did you go to school? That is a question I get asked pretty often in my circle, and I want to answer that question here today and just kind of talk about where I went to school. I also want to offer a few thoughts and opinions on various forms of education. But first, before I do that, I want to talk a little bit about my background. When I was in high school, I really kind of did the bare minimum. I just wanted to, graduate, make money. I didn't really have any intentions of going to college because it just wasn't the thing to do in my circle. I wasn't even sure if it was achievable. So therefore, I never really even pursued it. It was for that reason where I took and applied for a vocational graduation degree versus the college prep degree. The college prep degree was really popular during that time, and me being on that vocational route, it was really me saying, hey, I just want to get out, make money, find a job, and that was it. I actually liked learning. The more I think about it, I considered myself to be pretty smart, fairly intelligent. I loved English. I loved writing, but I just didn't have the desire to go to college at the time, and nor did I have anyone kind of pushing me to go do that either. So therefore, I didn't really apply myself. I kind of did the bare minimum. I had a little drive to pursue post-high school education. But then when my senior year came around and the hustle and bustle of everyone talking about what college they were going to be attending, and everyone was congratulating one another about what colleges they had been accepted into. And I started to realize very quickly that I probably should do something with myself. So at that time, I made the decision to join the military, and it was the absolute best decision that I could have ever made. I did not have the discipline I needed at the time. I needed that sense of belonging. I didn't know anything about ROTC or going to one of the service academies or just going to college first and maybe going into officer training school. I didn't know any of those things. I had no idea that that was even a thing, believe it or not. But ultimately, I enlisted in the United States Marine Corps, and it gave me the discipline that I needed. It made me a man. It turned me into a man, an adult, a real life adult. And I felt like I had that sense of belonging, and I knew right out of the gate that I had made the right decision by joining the United States Marine Corps. Best decision I could have ever made. Ultimately, my life circumstances, my family circumstances started to change. I became a family man, and my family and I decided, hey, let's switch roles, especially my wife and I. She went to school and while I was in the Marine Corps, and ultimately earned her bachelor's degree. And it was supposed to be my turn to go to school. So I was going to hang up my Marine Corps uniform and become a full-time student. I actually tried to do that. But I had a lot of preparatory classes I really needed to take, and I bounced back and forth between various different jobs, and moved back to my hometown. Ultimately, I realized pretty quickly that I missed the military. The military had really made me into the person that I wanted to become. And so my wife, again, who's been there with me the entire time, said, hey, if you're going to do this, you're going to do this for forever. And here I am, obviously still serving. But I went back to talk to a Marine recruiter, and I started my process to go back into the Marine Corps. But during that time, I'll cut to the chase, cut the long story short. I talked to somebody that I had been in high school with who had made the transition from the Marine Corps to the Air Force. And out of the blue, I made that decision too. Once I joined the Air Force, I really caught that bug for education. I started taking CLEPS, which is a college level examination program. And ultimately, if you pass this test, you get full college credit without having to take the course. And I was like, wait, what? Right? And you'll be surprised at how much life can teach you. If there was a class that I was trying to take, I did not take that class until I took the CLEP first. Believe it or not, I was actually having a pretty high percentage of the CLEPs that I was passing, and I started checking off classes, and I got that momentum going, and I felt like, man, this is something that I can actually do. With a combination of CLEPs, some of the classes that I was taking on the military installation, in classroom classes, distance learning, all of that was a build-up for me to get that confidence that I needed to pursue higher education. And I did all of that while on active duty and trying to raise a family. And I'll tell you why I mentioned that here in just a second. That ultimately led up to me earning my very first college degree. My mind was blown. I earned an Associates of Applied Science in Electronic Systems Technology from the Community College of the Air Force. To me, I had just won the Super Bowl. It was the biggest thing ever. But even though I was celebrating and enjoying that success, if you will, there was still a stigma associated with the CCAF, which we called CCAF, Community College of the Air Force degree. There were folks that were around me and in my circle going, hey, well, that's not a real degree, right? That doesn't even count for anything. Why are you pursuing that? You should just pursue a different degree. For me, it was like earning a doctorate. It was a big deal for me. So earning my first CCAF was a huge motivational push for me to just continue to drive on with my education. So with that, I said I couldn't stop. The train was rolling. And ultimately, I earned a second CCAF degree. This one in an associate in applied science in education and training management. But you remember, again, that stigma that I told you guys about. A second CCF, everyone's kind of like, yeah, but whatever, right? But you know what? Those two degrees actually helped me later earn a bachelor's degree, where I actually took that education that I earned from those associate's degrees and applied it to a degree program through the Park University. Shout out to Park University. I absolutely love that school. But once I earned my CCAFs and put that towards a Bachelor of Science, I was able to earn a Bachelor's of Science in Management of Computer Information Systems. My mind was blown. I'm telling you, I just still can't believe it to this day. Sometimes when I look in the mirror, I don't even recognize myself. I took that degree, and that degree allowed me to commission as an officer in the United States Air Force. Again, not knowing what an officer really even was before I joined the Marine Corps years before. But getting my two associate's degrees, a bachelor's degree, and commissioning into the Air Force, for me, that was something that I told myself, I'm going to promote and highlight education any and every chance that I get. Some of my peers know if I find out that you're even thinking about getting classes, I'm going to hound you until you get it done. I am a huge proponent of just, getting your higher level education to just better yourself. After I earned my Bachelor's of Science, I later earned an IT certification, information technology certification, just to top it off, right? You got the traditional degrees, but having a IT certification was something that I wanted to just add to my resume. And I'm happy to say that here in just a few months, I will be earning yet another master's degree from the Naval War College. This one is a Master's of Arts in Defense and Strategic Studies. So here I find myself here in a few months with 2 associate's degrees, 1 bachelor's degree, 2 master's degrees, and an IT certification. If you're listening or you're watching, I want to make sure that that doesn't sound like some kind of huge flex, like, oh, look at me, look at what I've done, patting myself on the back. That's not what I'm trying to get across to you all. I want to just get across to you all that you can do those things that you don't think that you can. If you just take something like that and you prove it to yourself that you can do it, prove it to yourself. Don't prove it to anyone around you. Even when you have the naysayers there's still naysayers out there that turn their noses up at the non-traditional path that I took, some of the paths that you may be working on taking. Don't worry about it. Do it. Just go ahead and pursue that degree and get out there and increase your knowledge, your level of education. And I also want to say to those that went to the traditional schools and you had those opportunities to go to the big name schools, I salute you. There is no hate here from those that had the opportunities to go do that. But even some of those big name schools right now are starting to do distance learning. Harvard, I'm sure you could take some online classes through Harvard and Stanford, right? So why is that such a huge difference, right? So ultimately, I get it. Those that had the chances to go do that, good on you. But just keep in mind that there's some folks like me, that didn't have that standard path, right? For those that don't want to pursue a college degree, that's okay too. Trade schools are extremely cool. They're an extremely cool thing to do. In fact, a lot of those trade schools end up paying higher salaries than the folks that went to earn bachelor's and master's degrees. So whatever floats your boat, get out there and go do it. And I just want to leave with my message. Like, what's my message, right? Again, I talked about, this sensational subject being the subject of education and answering that question. Hey, where did you go to school? Kind of thing, right? I'm answering it here today. My message is everyone's path is different. It's no different than if you were using a navigation system, whether it's Waze, Google Maps, Apple Maps. They're all gonna provide you a way to get to your destination, but they also have alternate routes. Mine was the scenic route. I took the scenic route. What else do I want to leave you with? Don't compare. Don't compare yourself to those that might have taken paths that everyone says is the norm, right? And those that took the normal paths, don't compare yourselves to those that didn't. And more importantly, don't discredit the education paths of others. To my audience out there, if you're a military officer, keep in mind that your enlisted personnel may not necessarily have had the same opportunities that you did, but yet they're still valuable and productive members of society, and they still found and are finding ways to further their education. So support them. Don't down their methods, nor the people that may be sitting to the left and right of you, because again, we all get to the destination in a different form of fashion. Lastly, there is nothing wrong with the non-standard route to education. You get it how you get it. I salute those again that went to the big name schools that might have had the greater opportunities. But to those that didn't, or to those that don't, you just still might find yourself sitting right next to that person in the same room with your non-standard path, with them asking you, hey, where'd you go to school? Hey, thanks a lot for dialing in. I hope that this helps somebody. I hope that you learned something from it. I just want to say thank you for spending time with me. Until next time on Sensation Nation.